excited to announce Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Focusing on the lives, experiences, and viewpoints of motherlode women, the show features a rotating cast of 4 women of all ages and from all walks of life. Quick, upbeat, and fast-paced with a variety of topics, this one-hour show will be aired live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Tune in, it's Just Between Us. Between Us, and welcome to beautiful downtown Jackson and our TSPN studios. This morning we have 3 lovely ladies, and we've got some great topics that we're going to discuss with you. I'm Susie from Volcano.
I'm Sandy from Jackson.
I'm Pat from Center Creek.
I'm Martha from my own in Jackson, and there's 4 lovely ladies.
Oh, bless your heart. Okay, we are going to start, and Sandy, the first 2 topics are?
First 2 topics.
Siblings. Okay, so siblings, roll the dice. Number 6. What is the one thing that makes you think of your sibling?
Okay, and the other topic?
Okay, is
We'll
living
split them.
Yeah, we're splitting them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, that's
Living within your means.
3. I cheated.
Should you offer to bail a family member or a good friend out of debt, or just let them figure it out?
Okay. We're going to take a very short break. Stick with us. We're going to be right back to discuss these with you.
That's a good
Just
one.
Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Between Us. Welcome back to Just Between Us, and we're getting ready to touch upon our 2 topics. And Pat, what's our first topic that you'd like to talk about?
Siblings. What is the one thing that makes you think of your siblings?
Something funny, because my brother is funny. I have just one sibling, and he's funny. So anything that's, especially like old Italian humor or any type of humor like that, because my brother has this great wit. And anything that, when I go back to childhood, I can associate it with him because he's
Old
funny.
Italian Hoovers is who they bumped off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and whose feet got into cement. That's old Italian.
See, you know my family very well. And I don't want to hear I'm an only child. And
Well, actually, no. I had a half sister. She was 34 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So she treated me more like a mother. However, when we were with our father, because it was my dad's from a previous marriage. My dad had me very late in life. She'd be on one side, I'd be on the other side. Now, you got to remember, this is a major gap in ages. And we would be arguing, it's my daddy, no, it's my daddy. And this is a mature adult woman, and we were sitting there arguing. And according to her daughter, that one time, I guess we were at the Grand Canyon, she was trying to get me to stand on the rim as she took pictures of me, hoping like,
Oh.
Yes, she was.
She wasn't serious, though.
Yes, she was. She was very embarrassed by me because that meant my father was still doing it.
Because when you think you're 34 years old and your old man's out there hitting it.
Yeah.
And you know,
and
your
she had a 13-year-old daughter, you know.
Yeah. Grandpa's having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. Did you say that?
I said 6.
Oh, 6.
Grandpa rolled a 6.
Good.
How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
Patricia, you had 2 brothers, right?
Yes, I did. And it's very interesting because my oldest son looks so much like both of my brothers, the one that just died and then the other one. And he has their sense of humor, which is a very bizarre sense of humor. And he walks like them, and he moves like them. And when my daughter-in-law met him, her husband, our son, and then she met his uncles, who are they were 9 and 12 when he was born. So they were more like his brothers. And she said, I can look at them and see what Rob is going to look like as he gets older.
So when you see pictures of your brothers, it reminds you of your son.
Well, actually,
or vice versa.
Well, when I see my son lives over by Sacramento, and so I see him every week, and sometimes more because we do the kids things. But it's very strange because he's blonde, and my brother that just died was blonde as well. And so when I look at my son, I see my brother. And
but that's kind of comforting.
He's still there.
Yeah.
And the sense of humor is just unbelievable. I mean, my mother and dad were very funny people, and we always joked and laughed. And the sense of humor, and this older son got that. And they can talk forever about just bizarre things.
There's that
just
connection.
sit there, and laugh.
Martha, what about you?
Are you sure I'm not your sister? I can talk about bizarre things 24/7. And what reminds me of my siblings, I feel like their mother, because I
Well, you were the oldest,
all of
right?
them. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
How many?
6.
6?
All of us together. One passed away. There was 7, but there's a lot of history. Yeah, there's a lot of history.
You were basically you were mama.
I was it.
Yeah.
I got married and they came to live with me. Is that Mexican or what?
Well, my mom was one of 5. She was the oldest of 5, and she ruled the roost over those siblings. I mean, when we went to visit them in Chicago, we would go because they moved out here because of my dad's health. But every other year we would go back to Chicago to do the family thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! But anyway, and they're all bohemians.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just like yes, Mary, whatever, and they called her Munch, for Muzhina.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was just, it's like they reverted back to being kids because my mom was, and she had this personality. She was so A-type. I mean, it was...
yikes, like me?
Yeah, extremely. And my father, too. It was really fun growing up in that household.
But it's funny that you can be an A-type and still be very flexible.
Oh,
in
no.
other ways.
No.
For me, I had to learn.
Exist.
Well, for me, I had to learn to be more flexible because I knew that I wasn't the real mother, but they listened to me. And that's how I learned to be.
Well, they looked up to you.
Yeah, well, with this voice, wouldn't you?
Well, my Aunt Pat, my mom was 19 when my Aunt Pat, her youngest sister, was born.
Oh, well, then that was like her child.
Yeah, and so Grandma was going through major midlife crisis. Her husband had died on the farm. Aunt Pat was a handful at 11, 12 years old. So they moved Aunt Pat out to California. And I was a toddler, or baby, So I grew up thinking my Aunt Pat was my sister, and my sister being my aunt because of the age difference. I was a confused child, and I think
Gary is your husband.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. We're going to go on now before we get any deeper in this. And Sandy, it's yours.
Okay, living within your means. Should you offer to bail a family member or good friend out of debt, or just let them figure it out?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation.
You bet.
Let's say that somebody got very ill and they're in debt because of an illness.
Right.
That's totally different. If somebody went off and went on vacation and spent all their extra little money that they had and they just had a good time, and they come to me and said, I need a loan. I need somebody to do some work. You are willing to do it? Because I ain't giving you money.
I agree.
I don't give money to anybody for nothing.
I think it all depends on situations.
Right.
There are people that have come upon bad luck.
If you're healthy enough to move your hands and be able to do something to earn it, I will make you. I don't care if you're my son, my daughter, my kid, my grandkid, or my great-grandkid, whatever. That's my rule. If you want it, you have to earn it.
Right.
If that's not a sergeant, I don't know what is.
No, but that's right. I mean, there's how many people do you know that the parents they're wealthy, and no matter what their kids do, no matter what they try, I'm going to go do this week, or I'm going to be this down the road, I'm going to go to school, whatever. Parents just throw money, and they never learn the responsibility to take actions for themselves.
Well, when Gary's 2 daughters were going to college, the college requests to know all the background on the parents for financial, and Gary flat out refused. He says, you're an adult. You're 18, you're going to college.
Right.
He says, we'll pay your books, but you figure out how to go to college. You want to go to college, you figure out how to go to college. And so the oldest daughter, they both got loans out, student loans. She paid hers off by working through AmeriCorps. Oh,
cool.
yeah. So she paid hers off. I don't know how the other one did. But we flat out refused to pay college tuition. You want to go to college? You learn how to pay for
You know
college.
why?
It's not a
better.
privilege.
It's better to do
not
that
a right.
for them. It's because they learn to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right.
They learn to appreciate everything that they had to earn to.
But then I heard the other
become
day.
who they want to become.
Then I heard the other day that we have like, what is it, 35 million something in outstanding student loans that
Yes,
are not being.
like $1 trillion or something.
It's terrible.
And they can't be gotten rid of through bankruptcy.
Right,
That's why the government will do it.
Right.
Well, and I don't think the government should be in the student loan business. I think it should be, my philosophy is like yours. If you want to go and do something, you earn the money to do it and then do it. Who says you have to go to college right out of high school? Earn the money and then go. If you want to become something, earn the money and go to it.
Well, there's different
At least get your
situations.
first semester.
I look at everybody differently. Every situation is different. If I see that one of my grandkids, it's doing really well in school, and it's doing really good in sports, and it's doing really good in life, in general, and there's a need for her to go to college or him, you think I'm not going to support him? Yes. Not give him the money, but, like you said, pay for some books or pay for gas for you to go.
But there are some that their parents have the means and they send them, Pat.
Well, for instance, I had a talk with my 10-year-old last week, my grandson, and he
I was going to say you have a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and I think of him as one of my
scared
children.
me.
It's so funny because he asked me when money became so important in society, and so he's
10?
He's 10. Oh yeah, he's saving for college already
Oh,
because
bless
his
his
parents
heart.
have 3 kids, and he
Good
knows
for
that
him.
they're not going to have to do this. He started saving when he was not quite 8 because he had decided where he wanted to go to school.
That's a kid with his
And-
head already screwed
Yeah,
on.
and
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm talking about.
and so
Yeah.
I explained to him. I said one of the things that's happened is that money is not the same even as when your dad and mom were young. When we put both of our kids through school, we told them we would give them 4 years of college, and we did not care if they were sophomores. The money would stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave them a car to drive. They didn't own it. They had to pay for the insurance and the gas, but I did that when they were 16 because that was my hammer. If you screw up, we take the car away. And one of the things, and I said to him, this is how it is, and the difference between money. I said, when your grandfather and I bought our first house at the end of 1970, it was right next door to Beverly Hills, and it cost $33,000.
Wow.
When I bought my Jeep 10 years ago, that cost $33,000.
There you go.
Mhm.
That's the
And
difference.
so, do you know what it costs now to put a kid through college?
Yeah.
At a state school?
Yeah.
$110,000 per year.
Yep. It's expensive.
They're never going to pay that.
But
on their own.
I think it's great too,
Yeah, but-
because we have to move on.
Yeah.
But I think it's great too that we have junior colleges where the
Yes.
kids can stay at home and the expenses.
Well, I
are-
think what they
Next
should...
thing.
Okay, you've got 2 topics. You take one, Sandy takes one, and we'll roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, just hand me one.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
All right, Martha,
Go
roll.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Road rage.
Number one.
Do you feel we have gotten less road rage in the last 5 years, or is it not being reported and in the forefront as in the past?
Okay, and mine is importance.
3.
Do you find things that were high importance before don't matter now that you are... Doesn't matter now that you are older.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Please stay with us. We're going to be right back. Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Between Us. Welcome back to Just Between Us. And Pat, you want to go first this time?
Sure, road rage. Do you feel that we have gotten less road rage in the last 5 years, or is it not being reported as in the forefront as in the past, and it's still in the forefront?
I think road rage is there. Depending on where you're at, if you're driving the freeways of Los Angeles, you probably will see it more frequently, or San Francisco or something, because people...
Well, you got bigger population.
Bigger population. You got people that are hurrying all the time.
More stress.
Stress. I remember driving, if you were 5 minutes late getting out of the house, it changed the whole dynamics of the freeway system when you were riding on. And let me tell, and people, they will try anything to get that one car length in front of you.
Right. And that's what causes problems.
You know, I
And
laugh
accidents.
at people because
Well, we're
just
kicked back
yesterday-
up here.
Just here in Amador County, yesterday I was driving, you know, just before Mortel, and somebody got in front of me without putting their signal on, and I just went like this, and man, she turned around and she did a whole show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I just went like,
It's like you just want to flash her on it and just
you know,
flash.
it's like,
You know what you say?
I
You say, I
laugh.
think you need a manicure on that finger.
but you know,
Yeah.
sometimes if people don't know how to control themselves, that's horrible, because I've seen people where they lose control
Yeah.
in 1
Oh, yeah.
second,
Oh, yeah.
just
You
like
know,
that.
My husband goes, why are you hugging the fog line? Because I go way over to that white line.
It's
on it.
because you have to.
Because when I moved up here, I couldn't believe how many people rode the center
You
line
bet.
Oh, yeah.
up here.
I noticed that
and
too.
and people also passing over a double line.
Oh, all the time.
Like on
Yep.
88, because they're behind a hay truck.
Right.
Or the cattle trucks.
The worst thing I hate to do is go to the Bay Area and my husband's driving. That's a sight. That's a sight. No, that you haul the car away. I said, please, I know you're not supposed to pass on a double line. I know you can't do this and that. But it does drive you nuts. And he sees
yeah.
that and he goes, what is wrong
Oh,
with people?
or you see somebody driving, poking along. It's like impeding traffic.
pull
and
over.
you want to, I don't usually. I got into the habit of laying on the horn now because people are driving me crazy, and I figure it's better than trying to ram them.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
It's
I
kind of
remember
fun.
one
But-
time I'm driving on the freeways, and I just wanted to go over, and this guy in a Mercedes kept speeding up, and he wouldn't let me get into to make the transition to another freeway. And I was driving a piece of thing, Honda, a little Integra. It was my beater car because I drove 50 miles one way every day. And I just looked at him and says, I'm ramming you now. And I went like this, and he hit those brakes on that Mercedes, and I got onto my thing. They play games. People like to play games.
You know, how many people have been killed because of road rage?
Oh, God only knows.
I mean, look at that poor father and son in San Francisco, and the guy pulled out the damn gun and killed him. But the thing we have to remember,
You never know.
you never know. And being retired and stuff.
Oh, I've grown
I just tell them, you want to pass, I pull over, just go. Even coming down from where I live,
But there's a lot of people that can't
they
do
can't.
that.
No,
They
they've
can't
got to
do
have
that.
a confrontation.
Oh, yeah. And I discovered that truckers are not the knights of the highway anymore. They don't pull over to let you pass.
Oh, we saw something when we were living in Texas about 5 or 6 years ago. It was the freeway. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like 6 lanes wide. And we were behind a semi, pulling a big trailer. We were in the fast lane, and so were they.
Really?
And, yes, and that was an interesting thing, too. And all of a sudden, we see this semi hit the gas and cross over 5 lanes of traffic
Oh, my gosh.
in rush hour to get an exit. And our son and daughter-in-law were in the car with us at that time, and the attorney that was with us. And we all just sat there in the car and thought, and he was going 65 miles an hour.
Did he hit anybody?
Nope, he didn't hit anybody. But we all just sat there, and it's just bumper to bumper, and everybody's going 65. But, I mean, he just, and we're thinking, he was practically sideways because he's a semi.
My gosh.
And he just did that, and he went right straight and then went off the exit. And we're thinking, where are the police?
That's
he could have killed
Everybody.
Hundreds of
I've
people.
actually called the highway patrol on somebody that
Drunk
we...
driving, I did.
Well, no, actually, I called, they say, how are we driving? I called
Yeah.
the number because the guy was all over the road, and I reported him to his company because I know they're in,
Yeah.
they're linked to him.
Yeah.
But I-40 cross country, we did that.
Forget it.
2 years ago. They're nuts
Yeah.
on I-40.
Speaking of that, we've got to take a short break. We're going to come back and hit you up with our free-for-all, and we've got your scenario for us, so stay with us.
We have another topic.
Oh, we have Sandy's topic. I'm sorry, Sandra.
I was going to say, where are you going?
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going too fast.
Importance.
Okay.
Do you find things that were important before don't, I've been corrected, thank you, don't matter now that you are older? Or in other words, has your priorities changed?
Have your priorities
Sure.
changed in the past? Sure, I think
I
everybody's
think
does.
everybody, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, I have some friends who are still,
I
In
mean,
the 60s.
I
In the
can see-
60s.
I can see things as good health has always been a priority.
Right.
That should never change. Making sure that you can take care of yourself, that's a priority.
That's a
But I
priority.
think little things like I have friends that are still, if somebody gets a new car, it's like, oh, you know,
Really?
yeah, and I'm going to go. Who cares?
My
Usually
priorities
thankful
totally
that they
have
can do
changed
that.
because my priorities were raising my kids and having my kids have a better life
Right.
than me. And, working, my priorities is still, my
Well,
business.
yeah. Well, of course.
And
yeah.
every morning, and I thank God I have my business because I think that keeps me just motivated every day. Something new
Well,
happening.
you know what it is? It gets you out of bed and gets you going.
Yeah. And it gives me something to look forward.
You're going to be
You know.
miserable when you retire.
No, I think she's going to be.
No. I tell you that.
Who told you I'm going to retire?
No, when you do. I mean, I'm living with it right now.
Yeah.
Does being
I
retired
have a
bother you?
suggestion.
Not me.
I have a suggestion.
Gary.
Yeah.
Get him to volunteer.
Oh,
You know,
heck. Yeah.
Get him to volunteer something that he enjoys.
Well, he likes
know.
to putter outside, but right now because it gets hot, he
Yeah.
doesn't like to putter.
There's
But, he putters early in the morning and then he's in.
See, you're not retired.
I am, basically. Ted
But
is.
Ted
He's
isn't.
still here and there works. But the whole thing is that that's one of the things that I figured out years and years ago. It's like with my children. When they were growing up, and they're 46 and 41 now, and so they were raised at a time when everybody had play dates after school. They were in 3 different sports or activities and so forth. And I sat my children down and I said, one, I don't want to pay for all of these things. You will have activities. You can go to Taekwondo or you can go to Judo or whatever, and you can play a sport every season, but there's no play dates every day. I said, you have a long life to live, and you better learn how to entertain yourself without having outside people do it. And I said, and you will stay home, you will read books, you will play games, you won't watch the television all the time. I was very different than most other mothers. And it's interesting because, and then whenever they didn't get punished very much because they didn't need it. But when I punished them, what I would do is I would say, you can go into your room and you can do anything you want. And you can play, you can draw, you can read, whatever. You have to stay in your room for half an hour and think about what I'm unhappy with, and then I'll let you out. And so I would come and I said, come on. And they said, that's okay, I'm reading this book and it's really interesting.
See?
And so I taught them how to occupy themselves
Right.
at a young age. And I don't think that they will have problems doing that. And Ted and I were both taught by our parents to learn how to entertain yourself. Don't rely on outside entertainment. Don't rely on anybody else to make you feel fulfilled. You make yourself feel fulfilled. And so I've had no problems. And when Ted isn't working, he doesn't have problems. I mean, he reads, he does things. He will sit down and do puzzles, if it's raining outside. And I do believe that it's kind of a parent's job to make their children feel
Well, understand that not
self-sufficient.
everything is fun and games, right?
Right.
I always tell my children, you know, if you don't love yourself, then you're screwed. Oops.
Sorry.
No, that's a good.
I mean,
You
really,
know,
because
if
That's
you
true.
don't love yourself, that's number one.
Or at least
How
like
you-
yourself a little
How
bit,
are
huh?
you going to be able to help other people in preparing for retirement or thinking about the future? Oh my God, you know, when you at this age and you have not prepared for the future, it is very scary.
Oh, yeah.
It
Even
is.
if you're
Well,
prepared, you know.
it's the problem now. Everything's getting more expensive. Your money's not earning
I
anything.
keep telling my kids.
I'm worried about outliving
especially with
my
Social
income.
Security. Now I can say this. We're going to
Yeah.
take a very
Yes.
short break, and when we come back, we have a scenario for you, and the ladies have come up with a free-for-all. So now I'm back on track, right?
Yes,
Yes, you
ma'am.
are. Thank goodness.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Welcome back to Just Between Us. I'm Susie from Volcano.
I'm Sandy from, where am I, Jackson? Hello.
Are you Jackson?
today, I'm
Today.
Pat from Sutter Creek.
And I'm Martha from Jackson and Ione.
Okay, we have a free-for-all first, and then we'll do our scenario. Our free-for-all is, in the last two or 3 weeks, we've had an abundance of media reporting out there of domestic violence, especially sports figures. My question to you is this, is that why all of a sudden this is all coming out in the forefront, and now they're trying to make a big deal out of it when it's gone on for a long time?
And it's just not the NFL. It's in all. It's
in everywhere.
It's in everywhere. Yeah, I think it's a double standard going right now, because what was there was that guy that used to be the quarterback in Texas, and he beat up his wife or something.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Let me
That
throw
was
this
years
out.
ago.
Let me throw this out on the table. Right now we're seeing everybody, sports figures, and it's coming out in the forefront, and it's plastered all over the media, whatever, where, Joe Schmo down the street can do the same thing, and you never hear about it. He goes to court, blah, blah, blah.
Doesn't lose his job.
He doesn't lose his job. Do you feel that because, domestic violence is nothing to turn a blind eye to. It is serious. Women are killed every single day because of domestic violence, okay? My question is this. Does it have to be brought out into the forefront on the individual if they're a sports figure, or should they deal with it in private?
I think it should be brought out. The reason I think that they're doing it, and I think it has to do a lot with women. Women have always been, and a sportscaster just got docked for doing this, and I have a relative who was the victim of domestic violence. And one of the things that it was interesting is that the sportscaster said, what part did his wife play in
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw the tape, too.
beating him up, or beating her up? And as my cousin said, it was a cousin, and she said, as a young bride in a foreign country, she was raised in the Bay Area, she said her husband would hit her, and he had a violent temper, and he would say to her, if you don't shut up and you don't bring up anything that irritates me, I won't hit you. And then she would ask him something about, I don't have this to make for dinner, and he would punch her.
Okay. So
And then he would say to her, it's all your fault.
And after a while,
But why didn't she leave him?
She did. Well, actually, he left her. He dumped her and went away.
But my question is this. These people that are involved in this domestic violence, and also the abuse of the little boy hitting with them with a switch. Okay, my question is this. Where is their due process of law? If we want people prosecuted, where is their due process of law? And find out, there's two sides to this. Yes, there was domestic violence. In that video that you saw in the elevator,
she went after him.
She was spitting on him And this is no excuse to get hit. So I don't
Right.
want to hear anybody
Yeah.
call in and say, because I know a lot about domestic violence. Trust me. Don't even go there with me. But if you continuously spit on a person and go up and hit them, you know, and you're both drinking, sooner or later, and I'm sure this is not the first time he's hit her, they were engaged.
Yeah.
My question was, last week when we discussed this, why do you not stand up and say, you know what, that's the last time you put your hands on me. I will not marry you until you get help and you learn to control
The
your...
only thing I want to see is, one, I don't think the NFL, I have no problem, if it's written in the NFL's rules,
in their contract.
that you're not to embarrass your team
And
or
it
the
is.
sport,
And
right,
it is in many of
then
them.
I can see the suspension
Yes.
until it's adjudicated in court, because in this, we're still a country of laws, and you're still presumed innocent. I don't care what the videotape shows.
May I say something?
Yes, you may.
Would you guys give me a chance, please?
Yes.
I'm a director with Operation Care, which is about domestic violence.
Right.
With children, with men, with women. We help everybody. My point of view is you have to teach your children since early in life about being independent, learning to be respected, and to respect people. If you don't learn to respect from early in life, you're not going to care. You want to have an attitude. You want to be abused. You're going to be an abuser. And it starts at home. In all of us.
Sometimes it's cultural. It's handed down.
Yes,
You see it in
but
the
that's
home
what
constantly.
that's what I'm saying. If we don't learn it at home, you know, I was a child that, I mean, in my day, the way that my parents, my mother, you know, took care of us was like, you know, this is the way you're going to learn. And what happens is, I always told my children, you have to turn it around, cut that string, and start your life the way it's supposed to be.
You need
because
to
that
stop.
was wrong.
You need to put a stop
You
to
know,
it.
it's okay to give them a little slap on the butt, but not to be abusive with anybody.
Yeah.
With
But I think,
anybody at all.
But I think with the sports figures,
They're more
young guys especially
Because
look
you think
up
they're
to
role
them.
models.
Yeah, they're role models.
Okay.
And I think that's why they've gotten out with this. And you know, this is
And
not a good way
children
to be.
learn from that.
Sure.
The only thing I want to make is that, yes, women are percentage-wise more the victims.
But there are
on
men.
But there is men to
Right.
Sure.
And
Yes,
it's
there is a lot of
almost,
men.
there's almost impossible
Men are embarrassed.
Right.
to make, but the ones that do.
Let
but
me,
it's-
let me,
Well,
let
wait
me-
a minute, let me finish.
Go ahead.
It's almost impossible to prosecute a woman for domestic violence because juries just can't fathom a
Okay,
woman
let me do
beating
this
up
now.
on a man.
Let me say this, because we have to go to another topic. Instead of going to another topic, we'll continue this. We'll use our scenario as our hot topic. So what I'm trying to say is that there is never an excuse
No.
for someone to put their hands on another person. Thank the good Lord we have
Whether
places
it's a child,
like,
whether it's
like
a man, whether it's a
Operation
woman,
Care or
or
whatever.
even older
But-
people.
but
you know,
unless-
the elderly get abused too.
Constantly. But if someone is plummeting you and hitting you all the time, and one day you pick up a bat and you knock that person out or whatever, you know what? Never say never, and don't feel sorry for that person
No,
because
no.
they have driven that person to hurt.
I was very interested when I was talking this
Women.
with Gary, and he says, well, why are women putting up with this? And I says, well, sometimes women are physically smaller.
That's right.
Than, say some of these sports figures. He says, so pick up a gun.
Pick up a bat, haul off
You
and
know,
let them
well-
out.
just- there is.
I mean, I know-
there
I
is
know-
a point
No.
where you can defend yourself.
I know violence is not an answer. However, you can pick up the phone, you can call an organization like Operation Care. You're in a safe house, nobody knows where it is. You take your children, you go there, and then
It's
you
not
start
easy
the process.
for women
Okay.
to do that.
No, I know.
It's not
But then you
But
start the
it's a lot
process.
easier in this state.
Get a
compared to
restraining
other
order.
states. We have in this state availability for women to house women
Yes.
and children, or even to house
Yes.
men
Yes.
with children who have abusive
Right.
females, because
Right.
sometimes there's some women who are. People can't wrap their brain around. Women can be very abusive, and they often more verbal abusive but they can become.
No.
But women who are alcoholics or drug abuse or something like that, they can become very abusive. And a lot of men are taught, I can't hit a woman, so they take it. And I think that no, if we're equal. If you want equal rights and you want everything, you're as prosecutable as a female as you are as a male.
The first time that my husband kind of tried to hurt me, I turned around and I got on his face and I said, you ever touch me? You ever touch me and hurt me? I know you're going to go to sleep someday.
That's right.
That's what my...
Let's get the living hell out of him.
My cousin was a victim of a domestic... her husband, who was much bigger than her, used to beat her up all the time. And this is the strange... She took it, and I don't understand this.
No.
What was the turning point? He broke her dining room table. That snapped her, and she told him, you're going to go to sleep today.
You know what happened to me one time?
In the olden days, women never left men. That's the problem.
This happened to me, and this is the honest to God, the truth. I mean, what happened is the baby, my son Jose, was going to roll over the bed, and I ran to try to get the baby so that he wouldn't fall, and he ran at the same time. We saw him at the same time, and he pushed me, you know, to get the baby. And I mean, something turned in me like, don't you ever do that to me again. He didn't do it on purpose, but I let him know. He never forgot till this day.
Yeah.
He says,
let me throw out
I
this
always
scenario.
thought about going to sleep.
That's why
he doesn't sleep at night.
Yeah, but let me throw this out. Young girls today, on dates, young kids going to college, high school, young kids dating and stuff, there's been a large amount of abuse, physical abuse, brought into the forefront. A lot of young girls say, well, he got mad at me because I was looking at some other guy and he hit me.
Well,
so
let me tell you about something that I know that is happening right now.
Poor Pat can get in.
Girls can be very evil sometimes.
And say that they were...
yes.
Oh, yeah,
and
there's false accusations.
False
I don't
accusations. Go for that. I know somebody that is going through that right now, and it could go to prison for something like that. So I wish that they could teach them, you know, somebody could teach them, you know, how horrible they can ruin somebody's life for lying.
But don't you think a lot of times people take abuse because they have low self-esteem?
Absolutely.
And the reason why they're with this person is because they don't think they can find anybody else to love them.
And they're told that.
And they're mistaking beatings for love.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why this. I'm seeing a lot of low self-esteem coming into the younger generations, and I don't know why.
Yeah. In my cousin's situation, she was 18 years old. She had married a soldier. They went to Germany. They were away from all family for 2 years.
She had nobody.
She had no backup. And she said, and I said, you came from the greatest family. Nobody hit anybody. And she said, when you're told every day, you're the cause of this.
That's right.
You're the cause of this.
Mature, too.
We're going to go away. We're going to come back and hit you up with our hot topics. Stay with us.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Welcome back, and here is our hot topic, which is basically a scenario. So here we go. You are planning to attend a political event, and you know your friends are also attending this event. In an earlier conversation that day, you know that the sole purpose for them is to go and ask candidates questions, okay? And you know that your friends are going to go, and you feel that they are going to be confrontational and actually uncalled for being rude, okay? You know this is going to happen. So do you ask them beforehand why they feel compelled to ask those types of questions? Or you distance yourself from them at the event and then later let them know that their behavior was unbecoming and rude and embarrassing? And remember the old saying, you know, what your friends say and do don't reflect on you. Or in this case, because you are there with them, does it reflect on you? And are you giving the candidate and other people in that room food for thought, thinking that, okay, if these people are this rude and outgoing and share this type of political animosity towards this candidate, do their friends do the same thing?
No, I would walk away and let them do whatever they want to do. For the simple reason, I want to see how the candidate handles it.
Right. What would
because
you do?
you find the mental of the candidate.
So what would
Why
you
is
do?
everybody looking at me?
Oh, well, we're just going to you know,
What I think, I would probably stand up and say, "Shut up, you're fool! You don't know what you're talking about."
No, but I mean, I've been in a situation before of that
I've
nature,
seen it happen.
and I was embarrassed. I don't know about if you would be, or you, but I was embarrassed because I was with
But
them.
did you know that they were
No,
going to do that?
no, beforehand I didn't know.
Oh.
Because if I did know, but I know that they're a personality, and I know that they're confrontational, but I didn't think that they would do something that distasteful, and I was embarrassed by it.
I would have stood up and I would have walked away from them to let them know that I don't agree. I just don't, you know.
Would you discuss it with them beforehand?
Well, if I knew that they were going to do that, I wouldn't even sit next to them.
I wouldn't
Would
either.
you?
I mean,
know?
that would be me.
Me neither.
I do not like confrontational
I don't
people.
I mean,
I don't.
it's good that we have, you know, somebody that brings the bad points, okay? But not to argue with them
Not in
in
an
a point.
antagonistic way.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. It's to bring out, you know, the truth about things.
Yeah.
That's fine. But when you bring it in a way to hurt somebody in a horrible way, you know, and if that person really did something horrible, it should.
Well,
brought
usually
up.
there's always somebody.
You know.
If they
But
become
that's
become
usually-
loud and confrontational, there's always somebody to go whisk
Yeah.
them out of the location.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about if it's not like on the vast political front. It's maybe like locally or whatever. If I knew beforehand, I'd say, you know what, I know where you're coming from. Obviously, you don't like the candidate. That's your prerogative, and you're not going to vote for him. But why would you go and do that where you might cause an embarrassment to not only yourself and other people in the
because
room?
there are people who just
They have
get
to
their
do it.
jollies out of that.
They
Yeah,
enjoy the
I
idea.
don't mind. I wouldn't mind a person if we had a opposite political opinion, and I was sitting next to them, and they asked the candidate a biting question that would bring out and debate the topic.
Correct.
Right.
And
As long as
that's fine.
but as long as they don't use, you know, dirty words,
They don't get profanity.
profanity, or do it in a.
Or to
I
try to hurt your
an
family.
intelligent question.
Correct.
I don't, you know, I want a fact-based, intelligent question.
I
That's
think that
fine.
you can challenge a candidate, but if you do
Yes,
it
you
in
should.
if you do as you should, but if you do it in an adult manner and you put the question out there and say
and be fact-based.
and
It has to
say
be a
I'm
fact-
not only going to ask you this, but I'm going to ask the other candidate also because I want to get both of your points of view. That's being fair, but sometimes there's people like Pat said that they'll throw it out because remember sometimes negative attention, look at me, is attention.
Well, actually,
Period.
it works better than positive.
There you go.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
I mean,
people are going to talk about you
because
later.
people are going to talk about you,
Right.
and therefore, the question isn't asked in order to elicit the candidate's opinions or what they think that they would do. They're baiting them.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's-
that is a negative attitude.
Right.
And they didn't come there to learn anything.
And if anything,
they came there to,
stir the pot. And if
Yes.
anything, it could backfire, and they can turn around and they can also get sympathy for the candidate that they are being confrontational
That's
with
right.
because people are saying, good grief, what the hell's the matter with them? We'll be right back.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and now back to Just Between Us.
Welcome back. If you want to reach us, we're at 223-4877, or you can fax us at 223-4866, or you can email us at bookme@tspntv.com. I want to wish Tommy, Mr. Fox, a very happy birthday. It was his birthday yesterday. Today is my bonus daughter's birthday.
Yes, and last Tuesday was your birthday.
My birthday. I don't have birthdays anymore.
You had one last Tuesday.
I want to wish them all a very blessed and happy birthday. And Sandy, you're going to a wedding tonight.
Yes, I am.
How exciting. Is
Yes.
it local? No.
No, it's in Reno.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
You going to stay overnight?
I don't know yet.
Oh, that'll be nice. Pat, do you have anything heavy duty going on this weekend?
The Main Street Theater Works is having their appreciation party for the
Fun.
people who donated their time.
Fun, and
Oh.
you did?
Have fun.
You did?
Ted is in charge of building the sets, and I
How
decorated
fun.
the set.
Well,
Oh,
you're
that's
you're an interior designer, so that's right up your alley. And I bet it's
Yeah.
fun, huh?
It is fun. It's
Good.
different than doing a house, but
Good.
it's interesting.
Good.
Au
Martha,
revoir, my
Besito.
babies. And to
Have a
everybody that
wonderful
wants to take
weekend
care.
and get out in your community and have fun.